we need to get back to it. So this little book is a book that I recommended to all of you a couple of years ago. I don't know how long it's been since we've um, talked about what's in this book, but the title is The Little Things. The author is Andy Andrews. And I am on page 117 if you have a copy of the book. And at the top of page 117, he says, good will always be the enemy of best. Well, Jim Collins wrote one of the best business books ever written called Good to Great. And in the book, he asked a question, why are there so few great businesses in our country? And the answer is because there's a whole lot of good ones. And we settle, businesses settle. We get to a comfort zone and we either settle because we're comfortable and it's good enough, or we don't push to go further because we're afraid of the unknown and we're afraid of failure. If you could choose, please write that down. Just write those words down. If you could choose. This is not going where you think it's going to go. I promise you. Because you're thinking, yeah, John, I know this exercise. I've been to enough seminars. You're going to ask us if failure was not an option, what would we do? Not what I'm going to do. I promise. All right. If you could choose, what kind of life would you live? Where, how, with whom? What would you do to create value for other people? Whom would you mentor? Who would mentor you? What would you discover or learn? How would your understanding change things for the rest of us? What would you leave for your children and your grandchildren? I don't know about you guys, but when I read things like this, it takes me a while to read a book, Randy, because I'll get on a page like this and I'll read it, and a half hour later, I'm still looking at that page because I am lost in thought on the last question. What would I leave for my children? What would I leave for my grandchildren? If this 10-year plan that I have, and it's based on I have 10 years left, and here's what I'm going to accomplish in those 10 years. Now, you can read that however you want. I could be speaking about 10 years before I retire, or I could just mean 10 years, period. 10 years from now, what does my life look like? What does the life of everyone who I've been a part of their lives, you guys? What do your lives look like? What kind of change, difference have I made? And then back to the first question. What am I leaving for Colin and Lacey, for my grandchildren, for Braden, for my grandchildren who are not born yet? What is the legacy that I'm leaving for them? And yeah, you can create legacy wealth, right? And that's part of the legacy, but it's just money. How am I making a difference in their life? How are they going to be different because I was there? At 60 years old, I can still look back to my grandfather and the differences that he made in my life and the things that I do today. And I still think of the lessons that he taught me when I was young, and the love and support that he gave me, and the constant reassurance that I was born for something great. And he was the only person who was telling me that. And 60 years later, it's a big part of me. So maybe the legacy that you leave for your grandchildren is just how they think, and encouragement, that constant encouragement that you were born for greatness. You were designed for accomplishment. God put you here for a reason. He didn't put you here to live an average life. He put you here to live an amazing life. I'm on page 118. Like most of us, you have been casually convinced, slowly conditioned to believe that you have no say in the matter. Now go back to the very first question, which was if you could choose. Now, Andy Andrews is going to talk a little bit more about that question. He says, like most of us, you have been casually convinced, slowly conditioned to believe that you have no say in the matter. In other words, you can't choose. This principle is a little known but heartbreakingly true. It is impossible for a person to outperform their acknowledged capability. In other words, when you ask yourself that question, if you can choose, the question itself is implying what? That you can't choose. Because he wouldn't ask if you could choose if you did have the option to choose. The question itself is a horrible question. If you could choose. So is that question that you hear at all those seminars. If failure was not an option, what would you do? What do you mean if failure is not an option? Failure isn't an option. There's no if. It is not an option. A person cannot achieve beyond what he or she really believes to be the truth about themselves. What are the limiting beliefs that are holding you back? When you are setting goals, what causes you to not set bigger goals? Or, better question, what causes you to not set goals? Because we know that less than 20% of people set goals. Less than 20% have written goals. Well, why is that? Well, maybe it's because they don't believe they can achieve those goals and they don't want to be disappointed. Therefore, they don't set goals so that they're not disappointed. Now, what if your mindset was, I am on a journey with a destination that is assured. I have a decided heart. I know where I am going. I know why I am going there. If you are with me, awesome, let's go. And if you are not with me, if you are against me, I do not care what you think or say. Because I promise you, the bigger you think, when you find yourself getting past that limiting belief and thinking big and setting a goal to do something really big, the noise from your personal peanut gallery is going to get very, very loud. In other words, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to tell you, think smaller, be more realistic. You'll even have family members do this, and it's not because they don't love you. They actually believe they're protecting you. They're protecting you from disappointment. Screw that, be disappointed, but think big. Whoever said disappointment is a bad thing? Change the way you look at things. Disappointed. Okay, so you didn't hit the goal. All you did was learn one additional way that it didn't work. So what? Now what? What a person really believes is so powerful that his belief actually controls his behavior. Your beliefs will actually control your behaviors. Whatever you're thinking about will control your behaviors. You've heard of the law of attraction, that we attract what we think about most. You heard Les Brown in the video prior to us starting today, speaking about 87% of our self-talk is negative. 87%. We live in a negative world, guys. If you haven't figured that out, we live in a negative world. You are surrounded by negative bullshit. Now, here's the good news. You can turn it off. I haven't watched news. I'm sure most of you don't turn on the news. I don't even know if it's still there because there's never anything positive. I don't know. When I stopped watching the news, I don't remember anybody getting up there and saying, hey, let me tell you about all the great things that happened today. No, that's not what they do. You can turn off the negative BS. Now, how do you turn off the negative self-talk? Stop, erase, replace. Write it down. Stop, erase, replace. When you feel yourself having a negative thought around scarcity, all right? The market is tough. There are very few listings. It is hard to find anyone who wants to list their home. There's a lot of real estate agents, so it's super competitive. All of this is negative. Now, next time you find yourself thinking a negative thought, stop. I want you to say the word stop. And literally, if you're walking, I want you to literally stop right where you're at. So you're physically going to stop. And then I want you to say erase. I want you to follow that up by, I am an opportunity magnet. Opportunity freely flows in my direction. I am an opportunity magnet. Opportunity and money freely flow in my direction. You're reprogramming your brain with a positive thought and erasing a negative thought. Now, your brain is very much like a computer. You can program it, and you can program it with positive reinforcement or with negative BS. You get to choose. That's the good news. In fact, to correctly predict the level to which a person might achieve, one needs only to discover the truth about what that person believes. This principle has nothing to do with whether what a person believes is actually true. So you can have a thought in your mind that you meditate on that is not true, and you'll make it come true. It's the power of attraction. Whatever you think of most is what you're going to attract. People do this with health issues all the time. Think I've got this. I think I've got that. I might be getting this. Well, the next thing you know, you do. This principle has nothing to do with whether what a person believes is actually true. It's simply about the connection between that person's limits and what he or she truly believes deep in their heart and their mind. Every decision that I've ever made involved risk and fear. So if you're feeling the same way, here's the message. We're all alike. We all deal with the same stuff. I can tell you a year after, almost a year, making a decision to make a huge change in my life that involved a lot of risk and a lot of fear. I have zero regrets. I am having more fun than I've ever had in my professional career. Now, am I where I'm going to be? No, not even close, but I'm on a journey with a destination that is assured. So I know I'm going to reach that destination. There's not a doubt in my mind. And if I'm ever having a moment of doubt, stop, erase, replace. Now, every single one of you that are here, everyone who's listening to this or watching this video on YouTube, none of you are an exception to this rule. Absolutely none of you. Every single one of you have within you everything it takes to live the life that you want to live. Go back to when you were a child. Everything was possible. You were going to be a professional football player, a movie star, a rock star. Everything was possible. And then slowly over time, life conditions you to let go of those dreams until you don't even think about it anymore. Start over. Whatever age you are today, I promise you there's going to be a point in your life you're going to look back and go, if I could be 40 years old again, oh my gosh, I would do everything different. If I could be 30 again, I would do everything different. So I'm 60. There's going to be a point in my life when I'm going to say, if I could be 60 again. Well, here's the good news for you. You are. At whatever age that is, you are today. Start living the life as you're living your life today as if it was a do-over. Live your best do-over life. All right. Talk to me.